baby.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to another Team Kitchen Fable. Jacob here, and I have my friend Jasiel, and we've got a pretty interesting video for you today. Um, Jasiel and I both have been playing Boomer Bravo Showstopper for a long time. We've since been learning a lot of new heroes. Tales of RA came out, Everfest came out, did some Oldhim, did some Lexi, throwing back to Rhinar every once in a while. But today for this video, we wanted to do something interesting where we take an old list of Bravo with only cards from Welcome to Rathe and pit it against Bravo with cards from the entire card pool all the way up to Everfest. And we see Hot Sale's got some pretty interesting cards in there from Everfest. So it's going to be an interesting duel of the Bravos. But I think the cool thing about this specific matchup, if you were to do it with any other hero, I don't know how it would turn out, but the Guardian Mirror has so much opportunity for just dropping back to fundamentals. And the fact that most of your cards being blue block threes is like a main part of your deck means that I think that this might actually work. And we did a couple just fun games beforehand, just messing around with the lists, taking inspiration from like early lists from Kale McCreath and Carol, and seeing like what kind of stuff they had going on. And it was pretty interesting. So I'm going to open up the list just to show you guys what we're working with. Uh, First on my list, we have every single blue Guardian attack that's available in Welcome to Rathe. They're all blues, cost 3, and block for 3. The next thing is Last Ditch Effort, which is actually a huge potential for winning if you set up multiple Last Ditch Efforts, especially if you can like get a Remembrance in Arsenal or use Helm of Ice and Peak before you get the Last Ditch Efforts and have a 5-card hand. That's a huge win con actually in this deck. We have Raging Onslaught. It's just another blue 3-cost block 3. Showtime, you could potentially use that for some pretty good plays. Staunch Response has great defense for a blue, keeps cards in your deck, and covers a crippling at 8 defense. You don't get crushed. Stonewall Confidence is a good one because you can play the Stonewall Confidence for 2 and then Helm of Ice and Peak after that, and you're going to end up with 5 cards in hand. All your 3 costs are going to block extra, and you can set up to be defensive and have an aggressive game after that. And then the last blue is Unmovable, and that's just a solid block 3. I mean, that's been included in tons of lists in Bravo forever. Onto the yellows, we have 2 yellow Unmovables, and the nice thing about having yellow 3 costs is they can always just pitch for a Seismic and then pitch another blue, another yellow, or even a red for hammer for 6 if you don't create a Seismic. So the yellows aren't actually that detrimental, and if you have a Seismic out, the yellow can pay for Bravo's ability, and 2 blues can pay for a Crippling Crush. So those are all going to be pretty functional in the list. Yellow Sink Below is kind of you can toss it up between that and Springboard. I like the fact that it blocks 3 if you're really in a pinch from hand, instead of Springboard Somersault blocking from 2. And the Sink effect is very good because you really want to be able to keep your threats. We have so few threats compared to the current Bravo list. Like they have Terra Sunder, they have Roused Ancients, all these blue slot threats. But our threats are really in our reds besides like Last Ditch Effort. So we want to keep those around with the Sink Below effect. One Remembrance is in there. We can target Blessing of Deliverance red. We can target our Crippling Crushes, or we can target Last Ditch Effort. And if you can cast 6 Last Ditch Efforts with the ability on, I think you're probably going to be winning that game. And then next up is Staunch Red. That just covers Crippling very nicely. Spinal Crush can turn off their Seismic or Dominate ability. Think Below Red is a pretty good include for the same reasons as Yellow. Pummel, that's going to be a good one. You can Pummel, Disable, and Spinal Crush if you have a Seismic out off of 2 blues. That's a very strong play. There's nothing I really need to say about Crippling Crush. And then Blessing of Deliverance Red is just a strong way to keep the life high. If I have less threats, I kind of by default have to go into a defensive game plan. And being able to play the Blessing of Deliverance and get some life total back, especially if I need to go super defensive and Remembrance back some more blessings, that's a pretty good way to keep the life total high. There's no sigils, but sigils don't very combo with Blessing of Deliverance very well because they don't have cost 3. And we actually have only 21 cards that are less than 3 cost, and we have 63 in the deck. So theoretically, we should be hitting 2/3 of our Blessing Red reveals. So that's a pretty good life buffer to have. And then I'm going to show you guys what Jasiel's been brewing up with Boomer Bravo with access to all the cards. Some notable ones are the Fable. That card is pretty sick. I think it's going to be build dependent. But getting a free seismic off, especially on like a turn where you weren't going to be able to make it otherwise, can just help you keep the pressure on. Terra Sunder was such a great boon to the Guardian lists. Being able to have a threat in the blue slot and do a Terra Sunder hammer for 7 in the late game is huge. And then we also have a meta right now where we have to care about Prism. So we're running Go Again package with Zealous Belting red, Enlightened Strike red, Art of War at 3. We also have Rouse the Ancients, which was another huge blue hitter from Monarch. And this deck is also running Razor Reflex because, or not Razor Reflex, sorry, Snapdragon Scalers, the combo with that Enlightened Strike and just get an extra couple points of damage. Or you can do draw a card if you're in a pinch. But those things are very important against Prism. So basically, the challenge is Jasiel takes a deck that he thinks is going to be good into the current meta, and then for whatever reason, I don't know, this is not a real scenario, but I know that I'm going to be playing against that. So I'm playing a Bravo deck from Welcome to Rathe that's pretty defensive, and we're just going to duke it out. And I think it's going to be pretty interesting seeing the difference in power level, but hopefully seeing that I don't get, hopefully not stomped on, but it might happen. We'll see. So I'm pretty excited to show the match.
For sure. And Jacob's a good player, so I'm sure like he's like gonna give me a run for my money in some way.
I
Like OP
appreciate
cards or
that.
no OP cards.
Yeah, we both duke it out at locals. At one point in time, we were both running Bravo at locals for a long time. So we've played this matchup quite a few times, I think.
Yeah. See what happened here. The dice roll. Going first is also so important in this matchup, I think.
That's very true.
Oh,
And
I'll
you
go
won
ahead
it.
and go first. There you go. Good luck, my friend.
Yeah, good luck, have fun. Ooh, another quick note is I'm running 63 and you're running 74. So that could be seen as just strictly bad for me, but I'm running last ditch effort. And if I can zoom to a 4 card deck with last ditch efforts in it, I can actually finish the game right there and not worry about fatigue. But it is a little bit dangerous. If he gets my life total low enough, I might not even be able to have a buffer to do that. So that's going to be something to watch out for, but it is a good note. In Bravo mirrors generally the bigger deck is at an advantage.
Let's see.
All right, let's see what you got.
Um, for my turn, it's a little bit simple, but like it's essentially gonna be the classic create a seismic. I'll have 2 floating, but I'm also gonna Bravo's dominate. This is another important thing about going first as Bravo, is that you can potentially just leak in some form of damage. Here's just a
Yeah,
crush confidence, so not much, but it's potentially something.
yeah, that's definitely like I'm not going to waste equipment on turn 1 or a defense react. Well, I might
Yeah,
use a defense react depending on the situation, but that's just a great way to deal 2 free damage to me basically and end with an arsenal.
I'll pass you.
All right, I'm going to draw back up and I'm going to go ahead and get the pressure started by pitching 2 blues for a Cranial Crush for 8. And the card draw is probably irrelevant, but this is kind of just a chunk of damage that unless he has a huge play, he can't really afford to take it.
Now, like here, I'm sometimes kind of bad with this, but like I think Bravo a lot of times for sure is like kill your darlings kind of deck, where like a lot of times like you're definitely tempted to just block with cards you don't want to, like a Crippling Crush and so forth. But that's kind of like what you need to do sometimes to go ahead and like go in the whole hammer swing back and forth. But right now right now I actually want to do something, so I'm actually gonna take the 8. Funny enough,
Okay, so
I actually
theoretically you
wanna.
can't draw cards on your turn, but
Yep.
that probably will not come into effect.
Mhm. My seismic will pop. And something I wanted to do is E-strike. I'm gonna go ahead and go 5, go again.
Okay, I will block for 3. Any response?
No reactions.
Take 2.
Then I will go ahead and create a seismic, closing the chain. And I'll swing for 6,
Okay,
2 floating.
2 floating. Hmm.
Yep. It's very easy to bluff pummel every turn. That's
Yeah,
something that's very fun about Bravo too.
you did take a lot of damage to do this play. Could be a pummel, but I feel like it is a bluff. So I'm gonna go ahead and just take 6. And I think right off the bat, all the Bravo players out there are going to be like, you guys just took way too much damage in the first two turns of the game, but I want to get
Oh
this
yeah.
card into my arsenal, so
Oh yeah, for sure.
all right.
Let's see now, Arsenal pass.
I'm going to make Seismic, and then I will Spinal Crush. There's probably a good argument that I should have saved this for the late game, but I can always pitch my Cripplings down instead. Um, and the go again is somewhat relevant. It makes it so that he can't make a Seismic or Dominate. So we'll see what he does.
Yeah. Oof. I think I'll go ahead and block 6. I am tempted to block with equipment, but I definitely think it would have been too early to do that.
Yeah,
As well as, yeah, like Bravo's definitely like a patient sort of game for sure.
yeah, for
Because I
sure.
do want to play the card in my arsenal, like spoiler alert. But I'll just go ahead and do the classic, create a seismic, and those for 6.
Okay.
2 floating.
I have a kind of unfortunate hand here. Yeah, the 2 floating I think is still not a pummel, but I'm stuck with a bunch of defense reactions. I have to just figure out which one to use. I think I'm going to go ahead and staunch from Arsenal and leak 1 damage here.
Pass you.
My Seismic's going to break. I'm going to pitch a Sink below, make another Seismic, and then Hammer. So the unfortunate problem with this is now I have a yellow unmovable, yellow Sink, and yellow Remembrance next to each other in my pitch stack. But theoretically, since I put the Sink down, I might be able to fix my hand later in the game if that's going to be necessary.
For 4, you say, right?
Yeah.
Hmm. Um, hmm. I'm actually gonna go ahead and take the 4. 1, 2,
Okay.
3, 4.
I will Arsenal pass.
So this will pop. I'll create a seismic, and then I'll go ahead and zealous for 5. No go again though.
Okay. Oh, no go again. This is interesting. This feels like I'm gonna get pummeled. Yeah, I think I can just block 6 here.
Okay. And you're right. The pummel is here.
Okay. That would have been even better if oh no, you wouldn't have been able to afford hammer, but if one of these guys was over 6 power, you would have gained go again and that would have sucked. But
Yeah,
anyways, I'll go ahead and sink below and that should cover it all. I'll choose not to resolve the sink.
sounds good.
All right,
The
my
better play
seismic will break.
probably. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I'm gonna hammer for 4, but
Cool. Oh yeah, no worries. For 4, yeah, I was just gonna say like it probably would have been a better play to actually block with some of those things and just do the casual hammer for 6.
hmm.
Thankfully, let's see. I'm very tempted to do something else here.
Yeah, if that card you pitched for Zealous had go again, it definitely would have been a lot more hidden, I think.
Oh yeah, for sure. I think I'm just gonna go ahead and block for 3 and take 1.
Sounds good.
Seismic will pop. I'll go ahead and Art of War. Gonna choose +1 and go again, and then Command and Conquer for 7.
Nice. So you are definitely getting an equipment piece here. I would love to not have to block with this Crippling Crush, but I think it actually has to happen just so I'm not losing so much value. I'll block 7. There's
Yep,
also merit in blocking early with the Helm, even though using Helm in the late game is a little better. So,
for
yeah, we'll
sure.
see.
Yeah.
At least I don't
Plus,
get
like it is.
Command and
Yeah,
Conquered.
yeah. Plus, it is a card you do break, so
Yeah.
getting value now is pretty good. 1, 2.
Just realized you didn't have any cards in hands to swing hammer after that, so my play is a little bit worse now. But I will just seismic and hammer for 4.
I think I will take the 4. I do not like I'm taking too much damage too casually, but There's a lot of temptation here to just play my cards. It's very tough.
Yeah, you got to watch out
Uh,
if I have a D-React in Arsenal. But you
that
have the
is
Go
true.
Again package. Go Again package is actually so strong against the defense reactions. But
Mm,
looks like
for
I'm
sure.
getting Dominate Crippling Crushed. And this is the day that I've prepared for. So I will block. I will block 2 plus 7. Take 2.
Sounds good. I'll Arsenal pass.
My Seismic breaks, and I will continue Steadfast hammering for 4.
I'll move to reactions and I'll go ahead and sink below. No
Okay,
sinking.
sounds good. I'll Arsenal pass.
I'll go ahead and Zealous. 5, go again.
Keeping the pressure on. Um, we'll block 3.
No reactions.
Okay, I'll take 2.
Then I'll Anathos for 6.
We'll block 3 on this as well. I think I want to actually value my life a little bit more.
Yeah, sounds
I'll
good.
block 6.
Pass to you.
Then I'm going to hammer for 4. So
Um,
an interesting thing with when you're running a Nothos, um, one card is worth 4 damage on a Nothos, but the second card is worth only plus 2 damage. It does also get you a Seismic Surge, and it goes to the bottom of your deck, which is valuable. But sometimes when you're just looking to make sure your life total stays high, you actually gain more value from blocking for 3 and hammering for 4 than you would from taking 3 damage and hammering for 6. So that's the reason I made that decision there.
the Right now I am lower life than you. I will consider using the skull cap just in case this is probably like the best chance I have to use it, and I'll go ahead and take 2.
Okay.
Um, Especially since I am kind of leaning towards dealing a pressure turn right here. I'll go ahead and seismic and zealous for 5, go again.
Hmm. I will block 3.
No reactions.
Okay. Take 2.
Then I will command and conquer for 6.
Hmm. That's pretty good. You have nothing floating for pummel, which is good news. So I'm just gonna have to block 6 and unfortunately lose a red blessing.
All right, pass to you.
My friend Anothos is coming back.
There we go. Uh, I'll block 3, take 1.
Sounds good.
I'll create seismic. Anathos for 6, 2 float.
Yeah. Probably it could be a pummel, but I have a feeling it's not because all you have to do is take 1 damage on my hammer last turn. So I'll do this.
Rise,
Okay.
it's a pummel.
Yep, there's 4. Yeah,
I'll
and
pass to
anyways,
you.
I think I'm happy with getting pummeled on a hammer rather than a card, so I didn't worry too much about that. I'm gonna make a seismic and hammer for 6.
Okay. I will go ahead and I'll steadfast, blocking an exact 6.
All right, that happens.
See. Up, pitch, create seismic, and then I will swing hammer for 4.
Okay. So I don't exactly know how long that arsenal has been there. I'm also not working with an amazing pitch stack right now. So I did see Remembrance somewhat early, and think I might have a couple. No, I did have to block with a Crippling Crush. So I'm considering casting a Crippling Crush here, but it's kind of an opening. But I think I want to kind of stick to the fundamental and not do that. So yeah, I'll block 4. Um,
Yep. Block
yeah,
is good.
and I don't want to be left without an arsenal either. Seismic breaks. I'm just gonna pitch for another one and hammer for 6.
I'll go ahead and block 6.
Sounds good.
My turn. I'll pitch a red pummel, create a seismic, and then swing hammer for 4.
This is so funny. If I crippling you last turn, I just drew another one.
Oh man.
This guy's for 4, and you just pitched a red pummel. I will block 3 and take 1. All right, seismic breaks. I'm going to make another seismic, and then I'm actually going to activate Bravo's ability and hammer for 6. This allowed me to get extra blues in between these 2 crippling crushes, which will make sure that I don't draw those in the same hand when it comes back around to it.
For me, I think I'll just go ahead and move to reactions and staunch,
Okay,
blocking 5, taking 1.
sounds good.
Let's see. Seismic will pop, pitch, create seismic, and
Mm.
then I will swing for 4.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and sink below. I don't think. Yeah, sinking is kind of relevant. I'll sink a red and potentially draw a blue so that I can dominate this card on the left, which happened. So that's good.
Arsenal pass.
All right, seismic pops. I will activate Bravo, and then I will Spinal Crush.
Ooh. Let's see, I am lower life, not to brag or anything. So I'm glad that the skull cap is active. And 4. And 5. I'll go ahead.
Oh, you're still gonna get
Okay.
crushed if that happens.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh no, you're
No,
blocking 6
oh, no,
here.
no, I'm going 6.
Yeah.
3. Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead. Take 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'll pass. So theoretically, at this point in the game, I'm feeling good as long as I can keep my life total high, because he's used some equipment, and I have 2 crippling crushes back to back, at the bottom of my deck. But keeping the life total high is going to be what's hard.
Here I'm gonna go ahead and Bravo dominate and crippling, and I get to use this Fable, which I'm
Ooh,
very excited
nice.
about.
Free seismic. I will go ahead and block 3 and go to reactions and block 7 more, blocking 10 total. So I'll take 1.
Nice.
All right. I'm going to pitch a blue and hammer for 4.
I'm way too greedy. I'll take the
Oh,
4. I'm way too greedy.
oh
I just, I
man.
just, I just like this card. I'm gonna play this pulverize card right here.
Ah, I see. It's not
Pulverize.
dominated, so
It's not
it's not
dominated. Yeah.
actually that threatening. Um, I think I just full block this and be pretty happy with that exchange. 9, 10, 11, 12. Obviously no cards to see. I'll take 2.
Nice. We got there. Here you go.
I will draw pass.
I'll go ahead and E-strike for 7.
Strike for 7. So I can kind of assume you might snaps on this. So can't get tunnel vision on casting Blessing of Deliverance. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna be happy with blocking and then going to reactions.
Yep. I will break Snapdragons.
Okay, I will sync and I'll bottom this, search of a better blocker.
Then I'll create a Seismic.
Hmm?
And then Anathos for 6.
All right, I will block 3 and take 3.
Pass.
Yep, I am just gonna hammer for 4. Because of my arsenal, I'm not at risk of currently getting blown out. So that's why I was okay with taking some damage and just pushing his life a little lower because it's already so low. I will pass.
E-strike for 5. Go again.
All right. I will block 6.
And then I'll swing for 4.
Yep, I'll block 3 and take 1.
Pass.
I will do a hammer for 4. Riveting gameplay in the
A
Bravo
classic.
mirror.
There we go. Hmm.
So my
I'll go
deck
ahead
is
and block
getting
3.
small, but I do have 2 last ditch efforts. I still have a remembrance left, and I have 2 cripplings in there. So theoretically, if I can get those, and I'm also going to get them sooner than Jasiel gets to his pitch stack because of how low his deck is. And I think we're right at my cycle.
Yeah.
So we'll
Plus
see
you're
how the
doing
next
work
couple
like
turns go.
yeah, plus you're doing work just kind of like scratching at my life totals right here.
Yeah,
So it's just like that's like I gotta be careful. That's
for
for sure what's
sure.
going on here. So yeah, I'll go ahead and the classic Anathos for 6. 2 float.
All right, how do I best use my resources? That would leak 1. I think I'm actually happy using the unmovable from hand just because it's not going to leak any damage. And then I keep these in the deck for later. I will make a seismic and hammer for 4.
I'll go ahead and move to reactions and sink below. Sink
Sounds good.
and draw.
I'll go ahead and pass.
Up.
Oh, I'm glad that I didn't actually get that rouse casted against me.
Yeah. Swing for 6. 2 float.
It could go to 10. So I think what I will do is block 2 and go to reactions.
No reactions.
I'll sink below from hand, blocking 5.
Block is good.
Oh,
No
I will take 1 then. I was tricked.
reactions.
Seismic happens. I'll just go ahead and make another seismic. And yeah, a little rough. I'll hammer for 4.
I'll go ahead and sink below, and I will sink and draw.
Sounds good. I'll pass.
Pitch and Anathos for 4. 1 floating.
1 floating. If the Arsenal card was a pummel, you might have wanted to use it for damage last turn because you had a card in hand still. So I feel like you actually just got clogged up and it wasn't a pummel. It could be wrong though. I know you actually, so you have 2 pummels in the graveyard, red ones. I remember you pitched a pummel around the same time I pitched a crippling crush, which I have not reached yet. So you definitely haven't reached it yet. That's the theory I'm at least working on. So I'm just gonna go ahead and block 3.
No reactions.
All right, I will take one.
Pass.
Seismic breaks. I think I'm actually going to make a seismic, and I want to flush out a defense reaction for my cripplings coming up. You've used all your sinks. You've used one blue staunch, and I don't think you're running unmovables. I don't remember if you're running red staunches either. Oh, you have steadfast. You have one, so you have one more steadfast left in the deck. Just considering if I want a Goliath Gauntlet my attack. I think Goliath Gauntleting this attack is going to be value, because if you have a defense reaction, you'll probably be forced to use it. So this is going to be 11, and you lose your arsenal if it crushes. And I also make a seismic because I think I have crippling coming up next instead of dominating.
See, that is a good call to make. Let's see. Yep, I'm thinking I'm gonna go ahead actually of moving to reactions and popping stunch up by 8.
Okay,
And
so
I'll
you'll be
take.
taking 3.
Oof, actually, I did forget it was Goliath Gauntlet.
Yeah, you
Are you
can
fine with me?
adjust.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, sure.
Oh yeah, just doing that.
Reserve that life
Blocking.
total for sure.
Yeah, it's getting
All
thin.
right. If I don't draw my crippling, then I just like gassed myself up and he blocked all that damage for nothing.
It's like the plan
Uh,
worked. Like, dang it.
luckily I did draw it, so this is there. I will make another one, activate Bravo, and then I will cast Crippling Crush.
Three. Sadly, no
Sounds like you
D-ranks to
have an
use.
aggressive card stuck in your arsenal.
Uh, like it's a classic one too. it's a
Oh,
it's
you
a
got the
very classic.
interesting.
Arouse. It is
Oof.
arouse. Oh yeah, classic one. 3,
Blocking
5,
6.
6.
I think if you're forced to take the crush, then you block with as little equipment as possible.
Yeah, I wasn't exactly sure. Let's see. Would I? How much
Oh
life
no,
would I
this is
be with this?
exactsies, isn't it? So you should block
Yeah.
like this maybe? 5
Yeah.
and go to 1.
Uh-huh.
I mean, yeah, it's kind
Ooh,
of a
yeah.
rock and a hard place, I
I
guess.
think I would want to go to 2, just so I'm not kind of like
Yeah.
stuck in the Anothos for 4 kind of like lock.
Um,
Then that might be best.
I think you want to keep the equipment because if for some reason I didn't like have a good follow-up turn, um, you can just block out my equipment and or block out my hammers with cards and save the equipment for if I ever have like an off turn, maybe I drew a bunch of less than 3 cost stuff and I'm forced to hammer for 4. You actually can throw the equipment in front of it, or you can stop an on hit effect or something. I guess the on hit effects are no longer relevant when your life is low, but
Yeah. I mean, like
um,
either or works. Yeah,
yeah, because
we could do it like that.
it's not. I have no way of killing the Crater Fist. Mangle
True.
exists in 2 sets in the future from my perspective.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think you can. I
Sure.
think you can be okay saving it. It definitely is a little uncomfortable going to 1 though. I
Yeah,
think it's just a rock and a hard place though.
for sure.
All right,
Now go ahead and
let's
pick
use
one.
some brute magic and intimidate, or rather discard at random.
Oof. There we go. You got the rouse and that. And then my turn, I'll just Anothos for 4.
Okay. Um. So I cannot quite kill you. What is my plan in that case? I think I just keep this card in hand to use it for the kill in the future. Or I just make a seismic. So I don't remember what I pitched after this crippling crush. Um, and you can technically block it out since it's not going to be dominated. I think it makes sense to preserve life, or maybe it makes sense to just pummel you and keep the crippling crush in the deck. Hmm. Uh, I think Pummel's gonna be. I think I'm gonna keep the Pummel in hand. So now you know I have a Pummel, which is not good, but you're on 1 anyways. I'll take 4.
Fair enough.
All right, my seismic breaks. And oh, that's right. You told me about your
The
arsenal,
rounds,
so
the
we're
rounds.
even.
We're even. We're even.
I will crippling with no dominate. So
11.
yeah, you at least have to give me 3 cards and an equipment piece. So
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and well,
That's
I'm gonna
fully blocked.
pretend. Yeah, I am gonna pretend though about so the 9, 10, 11.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah, so theoretically, if I have an off turn, then you can punish me if I have to take a hammer swing right now. But we'll see what I draw.
I'll swing for 4.
Swinging for 4. Yep. So even though I do not know, I shouldn't technically know what your arsenal is. If that was a defense reaction, you would have definitely used it on any number of those crippling crushes, or at least the first one. It would be pretty big brains not to do that if you knew that I had a crippling coming up. But yeah, I think I'm pretty confident in being able to assume it's not a defense reaction. Given that I have the option of doing a card that will attack for 10 with pummel, or just um, blocking and doing the end note those for 10. So I'm going to do this and take 1. Then I'll go ahead and make a seismic hammer for 6 with a 2 resource floating.
Because yeah, in this situation, like even if I know you have the pummel or not, even if this is like if you have it, it's kind of like if you have it, you have it kind of
Yeah,
situation.
I think that's right, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so I had it. I think you're pretty much right. If you throw 4 cards at it, I'm just gonna keep hammering you for 10
Yeah.
over and over again until you run out of your deck or threatening
Yeah.
the 10 damage. So that's a very good point.
Mm,
That's
for
definitely
sure.
something to know about for people in the late game. That I've actually caught myself on that a lot of times playing around stuff where if they have it, I probably lost anyways. So it's better to take the risk of potentially having a play to come back and calling their bluff.
Mm, yeah,
Um,
definitely.
yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Man, like I arsenal the rouse again. Man, this is trauma. This is
Yeah,
like traumatizing me
kind
at
of
this point.
haunts you.
It
No,
haunts me.
that's
I'm never
definitely.
gonna arsenal a rouse again.
No, I've
I'm never gonna.
100% stuck a Rouse in my arsenal at the wrong moment. I've done the same thing with pummels. Before Rouse came out, the definitely pummel was what gets stuck in your arsenal as a guardian. But I think it was an interesting game plan. I honestly can't say for sure if taking all the damage was wrong on your side because of how aggressive and consistent your deck was. Like you were just coming at me with an onslaught. I think if it was more dominated stuff and more on hit stuff, it maybe would have made a little bit more sense because then I couldn't just toss cards at it. But as soon as I set those cripplings up, my mind was just like set on blocking as much as possible. And so all I had to do was make it around to those and try to finish the game from there. But
Yeah.
yeah, that was definitely a rough one though.
Yeah. No, I definitely agree. I think something I can learn for like from this match is like definitely not be greedy essentially. And these are
Hmm.
kind of like things I already know, but it's also like just this thing where it's just like yeah, it's actually very like that's something like I think every Bravo player definitely like
Yeah.
struggles with a little bit times. It's like, oh man, do I take this damage kind of thing or that? But it's definitely a
Yeah.
patience thing overall. Because like the pulverized turn, for example, I think I could have honestly just blocked 2 and still like just hammered for 6 in
Hmm.
Arsenal, and just an all
Yeah.
blue hand would have still been able to do the same thing essentially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Bravo players thought Crippling Crush was shiny and you wanted to play it immediately, and now we have
Yeah.
Pulverize tempting us.
Oh yeah, now it's
It-
pulverized. Yeah.
It's even
It's like, oh
worse.
man. Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I got down to 4 life and I only had technically 4 life left on my equipment. Um, so if I didn't have the chance to do that pitch stack, I would have been in trouble. But that's also like I had a couple tough decisions of having to block with those red blessing of deliverances. That's like less tempting than a crippling crush. but sometimes you can get tunnel vision on like, ooh, I could potentially gain life on a red blessing. But if you think about it, gaining an average of 2 life on a red blessing is actually worse than just blocking for 3 with the red blessing. So that's something to keep in mind, unless you have the blessing to be able to play it for free, like your opponent didn't press you as much, or you set it in Arsenal. But in this specific matchup, I love to just keep a defense react in Arsenal as much as possible to protect myself. So I'm really happy we played this. I mean, it was very fun, like looking at just the Welcome to Wraith card pool. I'm sure all the people that were around in the Welcome to Wraith era are going to look at the deck and be like, there's definitely some changes that I would have made, or they kind of built it differently. But that's also because they had to worry about Dorinthia and Katsu and Rhinar. But I straight up just built this deck to see if I could play against like a current day Bravo and see what happens. And to be honest, I would probably make a bet that besides Prism, maybe some of the other newer heroes, this deck like stands a chance. Like it's a pure fundamentals deck. You just block as much as possible, set up like a pretty good late game, and chip in with the hammer and be patient. And like it's still a strong game plan. Um, so yeah, I'm really happy that we were able to check this matchup out and have some fun.
Oh, for sure. This is a really fun match. I liked it a lot.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, so thanks everyone for watching. We've been having so much fun making content for you guys. I really appreciate all the comments you've been leaving. If you leave a comment on this one, we'd appreciate it. And if you subscribe, we just hit 500 subscribers, so that's super exciting. And the next milestone is 1,000, and we can't wait for that to happen. And we're just gonna keep bringing you guys some great content, great gameplay, and cool discussion videos. So thanks everyone. Peace.
Here you go again, baby.